Hello everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast today. This audio podcast is part of the Serology and Squil. This audio podcast is part of the Hustle and Serotype. This audio podcast is part of a Defcon premiere, and this audio podcast is part of a Storm Robotics production. In this audio podcast today, looking at some of the more sort of intricate aspects or intricacies in and around IST pharmacotherapies and AAR, acute allograft rejection. So IST surrounding solid organ transplantation have advanced and undergone incredible sort of aspects of and around advances over the past three between the last 3 to 5 decades, and than perhaps any other time in any other time historically. And it is now possible to be more selective surrounding IST pharmacotherapy, and sometimes irrespective of HLA, human leukocyte antigen serology, and tissue typing investigations. However, it is an ongoing process that incorporates the use of IST pharmacotherapies and laboratory advances, thus understanding the different points in the activation cascade of CD4 positive helper T lymphocytes and the reaction of CD8 cytotoxic T cells. It may also be possible to manipulate the immune system that the organ is in such a way that in at least some aspects in at least some aspects, or in a way that the organ specific immune response may be switched off, or rendered sort of tolerant, thus removing IST pharmacotherapy. Since the mid 90s, however, in around 1995, there have been a burst in the quantity of new IST pharmacotherapies available amongst solid organ transplant specialties. In contrast to the long signaling cytosolic tails of the beta C122, and sort of the gamma CD132 transmembrane protein components of the interleukin-2 receptor, early research had highlighted, or early evidence had highlighted, that the short alpha chain CD25 does not trigger cytokine release. Additionally, early monoclonal antibody pharmacotherapy, such as basiliximab, or sort of the humanized formulation, monoclonal antibody, also known as daclizumab, are chimeric, and thus have a longer serum half-life, and do readily elicit neutralizing antibodies, wherein such issues have been highlighted with pure xenogenic polyclonal antibodies, and at the same time, interleukin 2 receptor monoclonal antibodies have also been utilized as induction IST to reduce the occurrence of AAR episodes. However, they are not effective. They're not effective as main sort of pharmacotherapeutics, as mainstem pharmacotherapeutics to reverse AAR, owing to the modest potency owing to them sort of the modest potency that they have. That draws this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast is part of the Serology and Squil. This audio podcast is part of the Hustle and Serotype. This audio podcast is part of a Defcon premiere, and this audio podcast as part of a Storm Lobostics production.